All right. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is Bobby Sharma. And today I'm really thrilled to have two young, amazing entrepreneurs, real estate entrepreneurs with us. I've gone to become friends with both of them. So, Oscar and German, they're two great friends of mine, and you'll be hearing about their real estate journey, but they're also their life journey. So I think you'll find it super inspirational, super interesting, and so yeah, let's get it started. So Herman and Oscar, tell me, I know your background a little bit, so tell me a little bit about your family's immigrants from Latin America, and how. Tell us about when you landed. How old were you when you came to the United States? And then more importantly, we like how did you end up in the military, right? Tell us that story first, but tell us how you landed.
Who's gonna
German,
do it?
you remember it better than me. I was younger. But
Oh man.
before you start, Bobby, I just want to say thank you for having us on, man.
Yeah.
It's an honor, and we really appreciate it. Go ahead, German. Do it.
And thank you for the shirt, man. I love it.
Yeah. Go Colombia.
I wish
Yeah.
I knew. Yeah. So yeah, man, we got here in '93, in the winter of '93 from Cali, Colombia, which is very hot. You're familiar with that? It's very hot out there. We came here without nothing, without just whatever we were wearing. My mom brought us here. My dad was here before us, so he worked about 3 years to brought us here. My brother, I was 12 back then. My brother was about
Four.
three or four.
Wow.
No English at all. I couldn't even count to
Wow.
10. My brother could barely talk at that age. We moved here, and then we grew up in New Jersey. Very
We
humble beginnings, man. Like
we were in
we,
the bedroom, one
yeah, in a
bedroom.
bedroom, five of
Four
us.
people in one bedroom?
It was five.
Five people in
Yeah,
one
we
bedroom.
had another sister at the time, and so it was five of us in a bedroom in a
Wow.
really, I would say, really crappy apartment. But from my perspective, those were the best times of
Right.
my life because it was the we were really united back
You were
then.
close. Yeah.
Yes. We grew up. I went to college. College wasn't for me at the time. I joined the Marine Corps in 2002. And then my brother followed right after that. He graduated high school, joined the Air Force, and now he's a step, actually a couple of steps ahead of me because he's an officer. I'm very proud of my brother because
Oh, so
he went
proud.
even further. Yeah, he got his degree. He has his master's. He's an officer in the Air Force. And go ahead, Oscar.
So just he gives me a lot of kudos a lot of times, but you know, the example that the big brother set it is huge, right? Especially as a first generation or immigrant family coming, you need those examples, right? My dad, hardworking man, blue collar. We would paint those big factory nuclear. I don't even know what to call him, to be
Yeah, yeah.
honest with you. But he would go. I mean, his back is shot now. Older. Just worked very hard all his life, and that's all he knows. That's all that generation knows is you will work with your hands, and that's it. They wanted something better for us,
Yeah.
and then I saw my brother. I think when you come to this country, not only that, but when you're in lower levels of income, all you think is getting a job, the
Yep.
paycheck to, and that's how you live. No
Yeah.
one really teaches you how to create wealth.
Yep.
And granted, so I mean, no one ever gives you anything. Nothing is ever given. It's
Yep.
earned, right?
Yep.
So I think my brother and my family, we've always had that. And the first person to kind of step out of the real comfort zone were my parents coming to a whole different country. But then my brother, he joined the Marines, and um, I think that was a way out of the community, out of into something better, something that gave us discipline. And then I tried to join the Marines, and he told me, "No, don't do it." He was like, "Go Air Force or Navy." He said, "I remember." He's like, "They're way smarter. They take care of you better." And I did. So I listened to him, right? And then I went in, and they kind of instilled some more discipline in me, and I saw opportunities, and that's just one of the things I've always seen as make my family proud, make my mom and dad proud, as far as, they didn't come here to just see me or see us waste our lives,
Yes.
just do better. That's the idea.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, he set that huge example, and then, I kind of took it from there.
Yeah.
But, I can't be more thankful for the brother I have. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Jeremy.
no.
Don't
Thanks,
cry on
man.
me.
You guys, I've seen you both interact with each other, and I just truly admire that at such a young age you have a friendship and your family. It's blood, and your parents must be so proud of you. So I and in your journey, growing up in a rough neighborhood in New Jersey, you could have gone in either direction, right? You could have gone maybe fallen in with the wrong crowd. So I really give kudos to your parents and for your own self-discipline that you chose to say, you know what, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to join the forces. I'm going to get discipline. I'm going to get stability in my life. So there's hopefully a lot of young people on our viewers and listeners, or some of you are listeners that have kids. Joining the military is not a bad option. I was just talking to a friend of mine in Phoenix, Arizona, and his son is about to go into the army. So, and he's very proud, very proud. And I think a lot of the media always covers a lot of immigrants, especially from Latin America, and then especially from Colombia, with the wrong picture. It's a very misguided kind of an information. It's very stereotyped information about people coming from Latin America, Central America. But they're some of the hardest working, some of the most successful people that I know. So I'm really, look, I'm thrilled that you made that decision. So tell us you're both still active military, and then at what point did you say, you know what, I'm going to explore going from paycheck, earning a good income, to maybe becoming a businessman, maybe becoming a real estate investor? Like, what was the catalyst? What caused that? German,
So
if you want to take that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, it was always my dream. I just never nobody in our family, our immediate family, are entrepreneurs. But I always dream about having a restaurant or a nightclub or some type of business, like making it on my own. I had no idea how. I got into different ventures where I lost almost everything, and I had to start all over again, and just trying to figure it out how to do this. But people was always taking advantage of me. And then finally, my brother, I think it was like around 2015, I was stationed in Hawaii, and he told me, "Hey, read this book," and I read it, and it changed my life. From
Which
there
book
on,
was that?
go ahead, Oscar.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's the thing, he hit it on the nail. I think we've always had this entrepreneurial bug, right? But up until like 2015, we really didn't know what it was. And I will tell you that I think as you progress in life, right, your circle of friends may change, the people you're around may change, your mindset will change, especially as you start learning more about different businesses and how they operate, how the government works, right? Because when you're younger, you don't know. You just don't. You think you do, but you don't. And I would say that being an officer in the Air Force, the people I started to interact with were certain people that I never interacted with when I was younger. I could never pick their brain until now. I have access to them. Really smart people who were colonels who I could sit down and say, "Hey, sir, can I ask you about this?" But not only about work, but about life, right?
Yep.
And I've always been that kind of person that I was like, "Okay, what do you do?" But I get it. You're a boss, but what are you? Like, what do you do? Like, who are you? And then a lot of them would tell me about what they do on the side and this. Eventually, one of them started telling me how he was a landlord and how he did this and how that's the way to make money and how he had done it, and now he's about to retire and he had like 50 rentals and he didn't have to find another job even after military retirement.
Wow.
I was like, wow, that is an amazing strategy.
Yeah.
And then I told my brother about it through the book Rich Dad Poor Dad because he told me to read that book, and I told my brother, and then it just evolved from there. And I, anyone I could ever tell just as a mindset book, they're like, hey, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, it's not a blueprint, but it's a mindset book of
Mindset.
it changes you into thinking how the world is different from what you've been taught, right? And then from there we started investing. Well, I started investing in 2015, and then in just residential, and it's been going very well.
Wow. Wonderful. Wonderful. And so now at this point, you've got, I know I read the bio, you've got some rental units already under your belt. You've already accumulated some cash flow, you've accumulated some equity. And what are the next big projects that you're looking to do? And then also, what are the, you know, what are the things that are currently holding you back from going even further? So I have, yeah, those questions, and I have some more.
German, you can start.
So, so we started. We partnered up, my brother and I, because we were doing it on our own. Oscar was doing it his own thing. I was doing my own thing, trying to break on this industry. And then in 2019, we got together, and I told my brother, hey man, why don't we look to invest in Ohio? I kept hearing Ohio, Ohio, Ohio. The entry point in Ohio was perfect for us, right? And and then I went to Ohio. I started networking with a ton of people. I went there for a week, and I just started posting on Facebook, on Instagram, every social media that I could put in. Hey, I'm going from this date to this date, and I want to meet realtors. I want to meet brokers. I want to meet everybody. At that point, our mindset was on, let's get one or two properties, single families, or maybe a duplex here and there, whatever, because that's what we thought that we could afford, right? This is the all the books that you listen to, all the podcasts, or the majority at that level of the mindset.
Yeah.
This is how you start. This is how you have to do it. You have to start from a single family or a duplex and kind of fix it up or do this thing. And during that week, I met this lady who was selling her portfolio, and immediately I started contacting people that I used to work before when I was doing flips and trying to partner out with people. And then we found one of the persons that I used to work with, and she gave us the hand and she told us, you can actually do it on your own.
Wow.
And she guided us through the whole process. We actually got the portfolio, 13 properties.
Yeah.
And it's been a roller coaster of more positives than negatives. It's been hard work, but it's been um, so rewarding
Rewarding.
that I don't think I would have done it any other way.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
and then moving forward, what that did was that, initially we didn't know all the strategies out there for real estate. So most people think fix and flip, buy and hold. Those are the really two big ones, right? Especially fix and flip. You see it everywhere. It's here on HGTV, right? Everyone wants to flip a house for $5 and make $1 million profit. Well,
Yeah.
that's not the case, right? It's a hard job. That's a full-time job. And then what we realized was that wasn't for us. I tried wholesaling. I tried subject to. I mean, I got involved in a lot of different strategies and groups in Colorado, and eventually I realized that it's not for me. I
Yeah.
want something where I can scale and build a team and have
Yeah.
systems. And then once we bought this portfolio in bulk, we really started looking at large multifamily and JVing slash syndicating deals. And I didn't really know about syndication that much until then. And then once that happened, we started really digging, and we're like, wow, this is completely doable and possible. and the limiting beliefs that we had were squashed, which to us was a huge deal because we would always say, "Oh no, let's keep it at this level,
Yeah.
one or two,"
Yeah.
and then now we were looking at 50, 100 unit deals and saying, "Okay, we can figure out this puzzle and make it happen."
Sure.
And then moving forward, so now we're working on, establishing our larger deals, 50 to 150 units, either through syndication or through JVing with other people,
Wonderful.
and hopefully the way we're working it is creating a company, an
Yes.
actual business,
Yes.
and have people in place, a team,
Yes.
and take down more.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Now, I think, look, it sometimes life is a little bit of a zigzag, right? You can get coaching, you can get some advice, but you have to kind of take action. The most important thing you did was you took action. Whether you bought a 1 unit, 2 unit, or you bought a 22 unit, it doesn't matter, but you took action. Let me ask you this. When the lady said that, you can pull this off on your own, did you already have good habits when you were in the military? What was your savings? Like, did you save part of your paycheck for future investments?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been very frugal, and I mean, we save about 50% of our paycheck, between my wife and I, and most of it came from that. Like my brother was saying, he had already done other investments kind of outside of real estate, which had hit him kind of hard. So I mean, he did have some savings, but definitely I had a lot more significant savings from that, and like I budget, and I always try to cut down my own expenses,
Yeah.
and go from there, right? I mean, if you don't have your own financials down, right, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's priority. And then not only that, but that builds trust with other people if they know you can take care of your own financials.
I got into several Facebook arguments that, look, if you're a syndicator and you don't know how to manage your own personal finances, there's a very high probability you don't know how to manage other people's money.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust them.
Yeah, so I got in. This guy was very, uh, kind of confrontational because I said, look, because he had posted something that he had a bad credit score, he had some bankruptcies and credit card issues, but he wanted to be this huge syndicator, and I'm like, look, yeah, I understand people go through a tough time, but if you don't know how to manage your own checkbook, how are you going to manage a multi-million-dollar project? So that's, as other people look at putting money into a syndication, don't just look at the numbers that they're presenting to you in an Excel or in a nice slick PowerPoint. Get to know the operators, and the operators have to be ethical, they have to be financially sound, they have to be intelligent. It's, a lot of factors go into that. So I'm really thrilled that, from your savings in working in the military, I'm assuming you had the down payment for the 22 unit. You didn't have to borrow that money from anybody, right?
Yeah, correct. We
Correct.
we did a JV
Okay.
between my brother and I.
Okay.
And that's really when we decided to work together. It was that deal. Before that, we were on our own, kind of doing fix and flips. I was doing whatever, figuring out our stuff. But yeah, we had our own savings for it. And one of the reasons is we debated, right? We said, do we want to use our own money, or do we want to pull investors in?
Yeah.
At that time, we hadn't even started doing podcasts. We hadn't marketed. We didn't expand our network. Could we have pulled the down payment? I think we were really close. However, we decided we didn't want to, because we wanted to, this was like our trial. We wanted to now expand in this portfolio, and learn how to operate and make mistakes and do our own thing. And if someone's losing money, it's us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if we're having a bad day, it's us. And not an investor calling us and say, hey, why I might not get in my distribution. So then we made that conscious call and say, no, we're taking this on ourselves. And then moving forward, now we have so many lessons learned. I mean, things that we didn't even know with with this portfolio have happened and have taught us how to be better operators, better negotiators, better due diligence, you know, the systems we need in place before we even start.
Yeah.
I mean, so, long story short, just want to do what's right by any future investors
Sure.
and for ourselves.
Sure. No, look, you're learning on your own dime. You're every day, your processes are getting better. You're learning, about property management, tenant laws, evictions. I'm sure, turnover, when you have to turn over a unit. And then as you grow, you can take that experience and now you have a higher degree of confidence in talking to a future investor or a future seller about, doing a new acquisition. So that's very, very, very powerful. Got it. So yeah, we touched on, like what's on the roadmap for you. I know that, you're actively involved in learning in doing due diligence, doing some deal sourcing, doing some partnerships, doing all that. You've done a lot of research in that space. What about, give me your sense of, in your 22 units in Ohio, what's been the impact of the pandemic with the tenants? Like, what are you hearing from your tenants or your property manager, if anything at all? Has anything changed?
German, you want?
I don't think so. I mean, in regards to the coronavirus, no, we already when we went into this deal, it was like a flip of the actual portfolio. But the tenants that we had didn't stop paying because of the coronavirus. We had very bad tenants at the beginning. So our main issue was trying to evict those tenants that weren't paying rent. And the issue that we run to, it was that we went through court. The court gave us the green light to evict those people. But then
COVID.
exactly, right when we were about to evict them, that same day, they went in like, hey, you can evict anybody anymore.
We had the sheriffs were outside ready to evict the guy, and they were called off because the city has said no. However, we later found out we could have evicted them. There was a misunderstanding because the whole no eviction order from the government or local governments were for HUD, government-backed loans.
HUD loans.
Yeah,
With
we weren't on a high
yeah.
loan. We're on the equity loan, private loan. So we had, we had the right to do it. However, the city was still pushing back and saying, no, you can't. Right. So I mean, you can't really fight the city that way. And then eventually it took another month for all to clear out and they had to read their own guidelines and make sure they're doing it right. And we got a call saying, hey, yeah, we can actually do it. We're going to do it next month. But it wasn't just one guy. Like my brother said, COVID didn't cause it, but COVID definitely made it worse because the tenants that were, some were getting bold, oh, I'm not going to pay. Or here's what we got. We'll wait for our stimulus check and then pay you.
Oh yeah.
And then we're like, what? No, man, you put us first in your unemployment check, whatever it is. And then we're not slumlords either. Like, I had several conversations with a couple of them because it got to a point where it was too much for our property manager. And I called them directly and I was like, hey, look, what's the issue? We have one lady who's on Social Security and somehow Social Security got backed up. And I was like, hey, no worries. Just pay us. We're not going to do anything as long as you communicate, right? And same thing with other people. We put them on payment plans. I mean, everyone's going through a rough time, right? There's no need to go full blown, except for the people that are, fully. We have one guy who I still I wanna get on his credit report because since we took over, he wasn't paying.
Yeah.
And then
He
we made
stopped
an
paying right
agreement.
away.
We went to court. He signed another agreement, and we're like, okay, we're gonna trust you, right? This is that the good nature that my brother and I have from being renters in the past, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna trust you.
Yeah.
He didn't pay a dime, and then it went back to the courts. It took another month or two. By the time that happened, I mean, it was June, and this guy since November had not paid rent. He owes like $6,000, $7,000, and I mean, at the end of the day, is I even did cash for keys. I asked him, "Hey man, cash for keys, get out." He said, "Oh, you're gonna pay my new rent for my new." I was like,
Yeah.
"You are crazy, man." So I mean, eventually the sheriffs came in and took him out, but people like that is the people that don't deserve any
Yeah.
sympathy. But there's other people that definitely do. They
Okay.
deserve a break.
So look, a lot of media portrays landlords as these evil people and these big, greedy landlords and so on and so forth. What I wanted to share today is landlords are no different than anybody else. Like
No.
we're not big corporations. We're just hardworking stiffs like anybody else. We saved up for our future, and as you look at the laws that are coming down, they tend to be very biased against landlords. But what the politicians and the city officials don't understand is landlords are people just like you and me, like the three of us, right? We didn't win the lottery, we didn't do anything like that. We just worked hard, worked honestly, saved up a little bit. And if you look at people in my meetup group, people on the Facebook, people on the network, they're all like that. They're teachers, they are nurses, they are software developers, they are mechanics, but they took the initiative to save up a little bit of money, and then they became, maybe they started with one rental or two rentals or five rentals, whatever, but they're not greedy corporations, So uh, I hope people recognize that landlords are just like tenants. You still have to make your mortgage payment, you still have to pay your taxes, you still have to pay for all of that. So good. I honestly, I thank you for being, so open and frank about your experience. I think a lot of people kind of sugarcoat what they're going through. In my case, I have a few tenants that I'm having challenges with. I've tried to compromise. I've done a temporary rent reduction. I've
Yeah.
tried to, do everything in my power um, to say, okay, give me enough to at least cover my mortgage. But they won't even come to the table with that. Although they've been getting the stimulus checks, the extra unemployment, the PPP or whatever, the EIDL. They've been getting all that, but my bank doesn't want to really work with me to, or if they do work with me, the penalties of delaying the payments are so severe that it's really not very advantageous for me to delay the payments. So I'm still making the payments, so I'm sure you are too. But so in parting, like what would you tell other people at maybe in your age group or maybe slightly younger than you about just life in general, like people in their late teens or early 20s, and maybe like what would you share with them, German? Like, what would you tell your friends or cousins or whatever, that are looking to find a direction in life? And maybe real estate is not for everybody, right? But
Yeah.
just in life, what would you tell them?
In regards to direction, I've been always trying to find my direction. I'm 39 years old, and until I was 35, that's when I found my actual compass. I was like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do. One is don't despair, because I was always desperate since the beginning. Since I can think, it's like, oh my God, what am I here for? What is my purpose in life? Um, but I always took a chance. I always took a risk. I think my mom and my dad gave me a great example of that. I mean, just coming to this country. And then I was never, people talk about being uncomfortable and stepping out of your comfort zone. I never looked at life like that. I always wanted to move and be on the move, and do something new. So being in the Marine Corps was never uncomfortable. It was like, I need to do something. I need to get out of the place that I was on. So one is like, don't despair. It's gonna come as long as you move on, and as long as you learn, and as long as you keep trying to grow as a person. You're gonna find it. You're gonna find the right people that are gonna eventually guide you. And in looking back, I probably would have asked more questions. That's something that I never learned. So ask more questions, which my brother is good at, and the right questions to the right people.
Yep.
Yeah. So that would be my advice.
Ask for advice. Ask questions. Ask people to show you the ropes. If you're curious, be curious, right? If you're 18 years old, 20 years old, 25 years old, just be curious. And then Oscar, what would you tell, since you're the younger brother, like what would you tell your, people that are even younger than you? What kind of advice would you give them?
So I'm 31. I'm a millennial, and it's a conversation I have actually with my friends all the time. Um, I'll tell them is one, especially the younger guys, teens and going into their 20s, is one, realize that no one owes you anything, and that you have to you have to push and shove your way into anything and into whatever you want.
Yeah.
And what that college isn't the end all be all, or the high school isn't the end all be all. You can go to college, that's fine if you want to, but you also have to be smart about it. The debt that you take on
Yep.
versus the reward of a payment, of salary wise, it doesn't compensate these days. And the ways that we're taught for our parents and our grandparents, that's all going away. Pensions are going away. 401ks are now coming in. So you have to realize that the world is changing and you have to adapt. School may not be the only thing. Trade schools are another way you can go, right? I mean, you just have to find what you're happy with. But then you have to be, like you said, you have to be curious. You have to step out your comfort zone and ask people in higher levels than you that you think, okay, that guy's doing what I want. Let me ask him how he does it. He's not gonna tell me everything, but I guarantee you he'll point you in a direction where you can find someone else and keep going. And that literally is what I continue to do and been doing my whole life is, hey, how, you do this? How do you do this? I'm curious about it. Does it work? And you keep asking, and eventually someone, and that's how you could possibly find a mentor, is someone's going to say, hey, you're very smart and you ask and you're young and you have drive and initiative. Let me show you what I've done my last 50 years.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Mr. 22-year-old, and I'll tell you how it's done. I remember talking to my my friend's dad, who was a landlord, and I think he owns like a 70-unit apartment in Jersey City, New Jersey. I didn't know anything about multifamily. I knew about buying a home here and there. And eventually, I remember years later what he was telling us back then. It stuck in my head, and it all came back to me. I was like, oh, wow, that's what he's talking about. But he tried to tell us back then, but he, being young, you don't keep it. Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes they're giving you a nugget of gold, but because your mind is not,
It's not ready.
It's not ready. So wonderful. Where can our audience, where can our viewers and our listeners find you? Like, what's a good website or email address if they want to reach out to you and ask you questions? How can they find you?
So they can go, we're all over social
So
medias, LinkedIn, you can find us by our names. Facebook, Instagram is really the main one that we're targeting right now. We're under REI_brothers, and and then our website is gooddaycapital.com, and then our email is info@gooddaycapital.com. But if you message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, like we'll respond within 5 minutes. We're pretty good at that. Yeah.
German is he's really good. He always responds, and so wonderful. Hey guys, look, I'm thrilled. I'm very proud of both of you and your parents, and gracias, and we're compadres. And we're gonna do some fun stuff together, and when the pandemic is over, maybe we'll do an event in the Bay Area or wherever you are. We'll do something in person. But thank you so much for your time. Very inspirational, and let's do something together.
Awesome, man. Thank you, Bobby. Thanks,
Thank you
man.
so much, man.
You bet. You bet.